love listening to Keith Fletcher. Keith has had to head on, but he's listening in the car. So there's a couple of nice messages actually for Keith. It says, I got the pension 2 weeks ago and I'm still loving listening to Keith Fletcher. Good stuff. That's brilliant. Love to hear Venga Boys. Hillary and Battle Buffet. Hillary will definitely get the Venga Boys on for you as well. And I'm sure Keith will be delighted to hear that. And this one says, big thank you to Keith and Ivan. Many great years of music. Looking back through the years, one of my favourite memories, listening to the tunes on the radio while getting ready for the weekend. One memory springs to mind, yourself, not on the radio, but your shows were way ahead of the game with your tunes. Thank you very much. That's Scotty. Good man, Scotty. And he says, I enjoyed listening to Avicii Levels long before it was a massive hit. And when you dropped it, the floor was electric. Scotty, good man as well. Good to hear from you. And I really appreciate that text. That's for Keith and myself there as well. So I'm joined in studio by Joe Dex and Marty Friel. How you doing, man?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Ivan, how you doing?
Oh, good. Busy day, especially for Joe. Poor Joe has been flat out on the technical end today. And fair play to you. You've done all that all day and you still managed to come up as well.
Well, I had to come up for this.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Joe. No, fair play, because you're the man behind the whole setup as well. So
yeah, but it was a great day down there. Loads of donations and loads of people coming to stop and talk to us, and it was brilliant crack as well.
I called down for a little while on my lunch break, and there was a great buzz down there, and there was people donating. And the guys were just electric. Marty, you were on the bike for a bit as well.
I was the final person on the bike.
Yeah, well, you'll be one of the fittest too. So
don't know about that.
Yeah, man, you put in a few Ks then.
Yeah,
did you?
put in a few. 8k or something in the 20 minutes.
Yeah,
it was good, right? But there was plenty of sweat. Anyway.
It's a great buzz. And listen, and you know what? It's all for the charities as well. The money raised today, it's just great as well. So
and it continues as well, even right throughout the weekend, which is great. From early morning here, Jimmy and Paul was on doing the early shift. I was on all weekend at as an early rise.
They were looking a wee bit bleary eyed now, in fairness to them. They would say there wasn't too many hours sleep, to be honest, but I didn't. They were excellent. The wee video of them outside as well, just coming in the door as well. The banter between the two guys, they're good crack.
They just keep it lively 2 a.m. then.
Listen, at 34 years, it's the time flies, as the man says. Marty, you remember coming to the station? Do you remember?
I do. I remember coming here. I would say about 30 years ago. Wow. Got my mum and dad to drop me off. I was always very into broadcasting from a very young age. Didn't know how to go about getting here. We couldn't get to college to study media, and then back in the late 80s it was only really kicking off then. So I remember coming here as a very young lad, around 15 or 16, looking to get in here and how do you go about it? And
do you remember your first show?
I do. I was on with Keith. Did a spot back in the Power where he was taking young presenters on at the time to have a stunt.
A DJ
maybe.
For a day.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember that.
And I think that was a great opportunity and a great idea at the time for Keith and the show. And we chopped at the bit to get in there. And there's no mobile phones, as you know, back in them days.
Well, Keith doesn't like admitting it, but he was a real pioneer for us guys as well. We always had our back. Keith, as I say, I approached Keith when I was only 15, and he brought me up and he showed me around the studio, and he didn't have to do that as well. So
even when you met Keith out in the nightclubs, he was, when I came to Letterkenny first, Keith was in Nero's back in the day.
We're going back in time.
Back in time on the Fridays, and when we used to get a bus to Letterkenny back in the day, Keith was the man in the nightclub, and we followed Keith around. He was on the radio, so and he was never one not to speak to younger ones, and still to this day.
Oh, he's exactly the same as
bring us all on. So I have great respect for Keith Fletcher. And always even to see him here this evening, he's been one of the great ones, and always
it's easier to talk about him now when he's not here. Because he wouldn't allow us to chat about it. Joe, do you remember your first jaunt on the Highland radio? Or?
I do. I was actually I heard Donald talking about earlier about a lot of people started from pirate radio stations. I came from that kind of.
What did you do? We're hearing it now.
I seem to remember some of that as well.
But no, Linda asked me to come up when there was an Irish show on here at the time. It was on a Thursday night, and it was Mickey Doherty at the time. He showed me the ropes on the desk, and on the mixer and things like that. But Mark, actually, who's starting with us now, he asked me on the way up in the car, were you nervous on your first show? I says, I was standing out there outside the studio and I wasn't nervous at all. I was looking in to see, I couldn't wait to get on. But once that red light, the on-air red light came on, I started kind of freaking out a wee bit. But I do remember it well. It's like once you get into the zone, I just fell in love with it straight away. It was just.
Do you remember your first tune?
I don't. I heard you talking about that with Keith, but I don't remember my first song.
I think the only reason I remember mine, but I wouldn't want to say it. But the reason I remember mine is the first day I went on the radio. It was the anniversary of Elvis Presley's death. I think it was like the 13th or 14th anniversary. So I thought I better play some Elvis. So it was actually Elvis "Burning Love." So that was the first song I played. So so that's probably it sticks in mind because of that occasion. But listen. The memories are there. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to. I know you're itching to play Broadcaster Bingo. That's why you came up, isn't it? You know what I mean? So you're itching to play it. So we'll play a wee tune and then we'll come back with more next.